Jimmy thought he was different. He was the clean one, the suit-wearing businessman with a vision of a mansion, a family, and a legitimate future in mainland China. But in the blood-stained streets of Hong Kong's underworld, ambition is a death sentence, and loyalty is a lie. What happens when a man trying to go legal is pushed to the absolute brink? You're about to witness an unbelievable descent into madness. This isn't just a power struggle, it's a high-stakes chess match between a power-hungry godfather, a desperate godson, and a government that doesn't want to stop the crime. They want to own it. Jimmy fought brutally to win the chairmanship to buy his freedom. Instead, he walked right into a cage made of gold and bone. Stay tuned, because the ending of this story is a psychological gut punch that proves some crowns are actually handcuffs. If you think power means freedom, watch closely, because this story proves the opposite. The movie opens with Jimmy meeting his business partners at a strategic site where they plan to develop a new structure. Over the years, Jimmy has built a successful business operation in mainland China. His business partner and main financier, Mr. Kwok, expresses admiration for Jimmy's initiative and careful planning. At the same time, he cautions him to make sure his past does not interfere with their future. After the meeting, Jimmy walks up a hill with his wife. From there, he looks over the land and imagines building a mansion for them and their future children. 2 years have passed since Loach was elected as the chairman, and the Wo Shing Triad is preparing for another election. Loach meets with his godsons, Jimmy, Big Head, Jet, Mr. So, and Kun. He thanks them for their loyalty and service over the past 2 years and raises the topic of the upcoming election. Loach asks if any of them plans to run for chairman. Kun says he is interested. Big Head supports him, pointing out that Kun went to prison for the Triad and deserves recognition. This immediately irritates Jet, who responds that Kun only killed a traffic officer, not a high-ranking police official. The tension between them becomes clear. Kun turns to Loach and asks whether he will support him. Loach smiles and tells Kun that he does not need his support to win. Loach then turns to Jimmy and asks if he plans to run, since he would be a strong candidate. Jimmy refuses, explaining that he only wants to focus on business. Loach suggests that becoming chairman could help his business grow even further. Jimmy still declines. The next day, Jimmy attends a charity event with Mr. Kwok. There, they meet Mr. Shu, a man from Hong Kong who also runs a business in mainland China. He introduces Jimmy to Mr. Shi from the Chinese Security Bureau. Mr. Shi acknowledges Jimmy as Wo Shing's top moneymaker. He advises Jimmy not to become reckless like Loach and suggests that they should keep operations calm and controlled. He also asks whether Jimmy intends to run for chairman. Jimmy says he does not. Later, in the restroom, Mr. Shi informs Jimmy that Mr. So is operating a secret gambling ring in Shenzhen and that the authorities are already aware of it. He explains that Mr. So will arrive there in 2 days and will likely be arrested. Jimmy immediately tries to contact Mr. So, but he cannot reach him. The following day, Jimmy meets with Uncle Teng, who tries to persuade Jimmy to run for chairman. The elders see him as a strong candidate because of his business success and influence. Jimmy refuses. The conversation turns into an argument. Jimmy explains that becoming chairman would expose him publicly as a Triad member and destroy his legitimate business opportunities. He says he is trying to transition his operations in mainland China from illegal to legal and cannot afford to let Triad politics interfere. Uncle Teng reminds him that he owes his position and success to the Triad. Jimmy does not accept this reasoning and remains firm in his decision. Little did he know he was about to eat his words. Loach meets privately with Jed and asks him to help him kill Longhair, Big D's former right-hand man. He has been spreading rumors that Loach murdered his boss. Loach promises Jet that he will make him the next chairman in return. Jet accepts the task and carries it out swiftly and efficiently. Meanwhile, Jimmy prepares for the challenges ahead. He selects a younger but physically strong Triad member named Leek to become his close assistant. Jimmy and Leek travel to mainland China to bribe the Shenzhen section chief in exchange for an illegally obtained permit. When they arrive, they notice a strong police presence in the area. Shortly afterward, Mr. So enters the same location. Jimmy assumes the police are there to arrest Mr. So and tries to warn him by secretly writing a message on a towel. The detectives intercept the message before it reaches him. In the end, the police arrest both Mr. So and Jimmy for unauthorized business activities within the country. Back in Hong Kong, Loach meets with several Triad elders. Without openly declaring his intentions, he indirectly tests their reaction to the idea of him seeking re-election. The elders know that a second term is not traditional, but they admit they would consider convincing Uncle Teng to allow it if Loach's opponent is weak. They point out that Loach has made them significant money over the years. Loach asks whether Kun stands a real chance in the election. The elders dismiss him as reckless and unfit for leadership. However, they also say that if Jimmy decides to run, Loach should abandon any hope of re-election. Loach listens quietly and smiles. Later, Mr. Shi arranges the release of Jimmy and Mr. So from detention. He informs them that they are free to return to Hong Kong, but they are no longer allowed to conduct business in mainland China. They may only visit. Jimmy is visibly disappointed by this decision. Jimmy questions why Mr. Shu, who is also involved in organized crime, is allowed to continue doing business in China. Mr. Shi explains that Mr. Shu is a high-ranking Triad member who has made a deal with the mainland authorities and has proven himself loyal and cooperative. He tells Jimmy that the only way to regain business access in China is to become the next chairman of Wo Shing, form a similar agreement with the authorities, and demonstrate patriotic alignment. Faced with this reality, Jimmy makes a decisive move. He visits his uncle and boss, Lung, and formally declares his intention to run for chairman. Uncle Lung introduces him to 3 veteran Triad members, Tank, Snake, and King, who agree to support his candidacy. Jimmy also hires a hitman named Bo, preparing himself for conflict if the situation calls for it. During a fishing trip, Loach urges Kun to withdraw from the race and support him for a second term instead. In return, Loach promises to back Kun in the next election. After giving it some thought, Kun counters with a proposal to become co-chairman alongside Loach. The suggestion makes Loach burst into laughter. A physical clash nearly breaks out when Loach makes a veiled threat, but before it can escalate, people arrive at the scene. The two end up agreeing on one thing: they must take Jimmy down first. Meanwhile, Loach's relationship with his son Benny continues to deteriorate. Benny has become withdrawn, his grades have dropped, and he has started smoking and associating with gang members. The school issues a final warning: if Benny is caught again, he will be expelled. The situation leaves Loach frustrated and distracted, already thinking about how he might secure another school for his son. At a meeting with the elders to discuss Jimmy's candidacy, concerns are raised about his inner circle. They reveal that Jimmy's new man, Lick, is a police informant, believed to be responsible for their recent clashes with law enforcement. Because of this, the elders consider withdrawing their support altogether. Jimmy calmly assures them he will handle the problem. Without investigating further or asking questions, he orders Bo to eliminate Lick. Elsewhere, Kun kidnaps Jimmy's business partner, Mr. Kwok. He locks him inside a casket along with Big Head, using him as leverage. Loach meets with Jimmy and threatens to kill Mr. Kwok if he refuses to withdraw from the election. Jimmy, however, remains defiant. Jimmy questions why the position still matters so much to Loach and why he finds it impossible to let go. But Loach has no answer. Jimmy makes his stance clear: there will be no negotiation. It is either him or Loach. Loach warns Jimmy to prepare to collect Mr. Kwok's body. Jimmy responds coldly, saying that if Loach goes down, many others will fall with him. And that is the moment everything fully fractures. Loach visits the cemetery under the guise of seeing his late wife. Once there, he breaks open the urn chamber and retrieves the chairmanship baton he hid inside. Later, he meets with Uncle Teng, hoping for reassurance. Instead, Uncle Teng warns him not to break tradition by running for a second term. He explains that doing so would only invite chaos, and that stepping aside is the wiser path. Uncle Teng reflects on his own past, admitting that he once grew greedy and wanted re-election as well. The elders had advised him to bow out gracefully, and because he listened, he retained their respect. He then states firmly that Jimmy will become the next chairman. The words strike a nerve. In a sudden, impulsive act, Loach pushes Uncle Teng down the stairs, killing him on the spot. Afterward, Loach orders one of his men to hide the baton in China. Win or lose, he intends to keep control of it. He then turns to Jet, claiming that Jimmy is slowly turning everyone against him. Loch orders Jet to assassinate Jimmy. Before leaving, Jet vents his resentment, saying he has worked tirelessly for the Triad but has never received recognition. Loch promises that once he makes him the chairman, everyone will know and regard him. Later that night, Jimmy is having dinner with his wife when he senses something is wrong. He quietly asks her to leave through the back door and take a taxi home. Moments after she leaves, Jimmy receives a call informing him of Uncle Tang's death. He immediately exits the restaurant. As he is about to enter his car, Jet suddenly appears, blocking his path. Jimmy's wife is with him. Wanting to avoid a public scene, Jimmy orders Bo not to retaliate and gets into the car, while Jet forces Jimmy's wife to drive. Bo and Jimmy's driver follow them closely. During the drive, Jimmy calmly starts a conversation. Jet reveals that Loch promised to make him the next chairman if he kills Jimmy. Jimmy points out how naive that sounds, explaining that Loch is running for re-election and is only using him. At that moment, Jimmy's wife strikes Jet on the forehead and escapes. Jet does not chase her. Instead, he bursts into hysterical laughter, seemingly realizing how foolish he has been. He releases Jimmy unharmed. Jimmy, in turn, refuses to let Bo kill Jet. Soon after, Jimmy, Bo, and their men abduct Loch's men. Jimmy pressures them to kill Loch in a way that cannot be traced back to him. They refuse, even when he offers them large sums of money. Jimmy then has each of them chained to a dog and locked inside cages. One by one, they are tortured until they bleed, then thrown back into the cages. Still, they refuse to cooperate. Running out of patience, Jimmy takes a brutal approach. He selects one of them and butchers him, then grinds his body in and feeds the remains to the dogs. Seeing this, they quickly agree to carry out Jimmy's orders. Kun, meanwhile, tracks Jimmy and sets up an ambush with his men. He wants to kill Jimmy with his own hands. As he approaches Jimmy's car, he receives an urgent call from the men guarding the casket holding Mr. Kwok and Big Head. Kun immediately turns back, leaving some of his men to pursue Jimmy. Jimmy manages to escape. By the time Kun reaches the casket showroom, it is already too late. Bo has discovered the casket containing Mr. Kwok, escapes with it, and loads it into a truck. Kun and several of his men chase after the vehicle and manage to climb inside before the doors close. Jimmy follows close behind. When the truck reaches a police-controlled area, the driver abandons it and flees. As the doors open, Jimmy finds Bo badly wounded. Bo pushes the casket toward Jimmy. Kun then finishes Bo off. At that moment, a police vehicle arrives. Jimmy quickly rolls the casket toward the officers. With the lid partially open, Big Head screams for help, claiming Kun is responsible and insisting he had nothing to do with the kidnapping. Both Jimmy and Kun flee the scene. Elsewhere, Loch waits with his men at a local pub, expecting news of Jimmy's death. Instead, he learns of Kun's failure and the trouble he has caused. Just then, Loch's son, Benny, enters the pub with a group of teenage gang members who are extorting him and pressuring him to join their gang in exchange for protection. Loch steps forward and calls out his son's name. Benny freezes in fear. The boys attack Loch's men, creating chaos, and Benny uses the distraction to escape. Loch chases after his son, calling out to him, but Benny keeps running. Loch's men follow behind with his car and eventually catch up. Loch is exhausted and out of breath as he gets into the vehicle, watching his terrified son refusing to stop. In that moment, his own men seize the opportunity and strike him with a metal object, killing him inside the car. Following the kidnapping case and the growing heat, Kun is forced to flee Hong Kong and go into hiding. After Loch's death, the elders gather and unanimously vote Jimmy in as the new chairman. While driving late one night, Jimmy spots a group of armed men chasing Jet. He helps him escape. During the drive, Jimmy tells Jet that many people want him dead, which is why he has been living in hiding. He tells him that kind of life isn't living. Jimmy hands him his card and tells him to call if he ever needs anything. The moment Jet steps out of the car, he tosses the card away. Jimmy later travels to mainland China to meet Mr. Shi. Shi informs him that his construction projects and assets have been fully approved, meaning he can now run his businesses without interference. He then hands Jimmy the baton. Jimmy is surprised and asks how he obtained it. Shi explains that Loch's man arrived in Guangzhou days earlier and hid the baton in his ancestral home. After Jimmy won the election, they arrested the man and retrieved the baton. Jimmy grows uneasy. He becomes curious and suspicious about Xi's true intentions. Xi tells him the baton will remain in his family permanently. The mainland authorities want Jimmy to stay chairman until he can pass the position to his children. They do not want another unstable leader like Loach after his term ends. Keeping the baton within Jimmy's family ensures long-term control and stability, and in their view, peace in Hong Kong. The realization devastates Jimmy. He understands he has been trapped. All he ever wanted was to do legitimate business and build a stable future for his wife and unborn children. He never intended to turn his family into a criminal dynasty. Overwhelmed with anger and betrayal, Jimmy repeatedly punches Xi. Xi does not fight back. Instead, he calmly tells Jimmy that his leadership will bring peace to Hong Kong and thanks him in advance for his cooperation. After returning, Jimmy places the baton inside Uncle Tang's casket and buries it with him. In the aftermath, he reunites with his wife, who has been hiding in a safe house. She tells him she is pregnant. Jimmy receives the news with mixed emotions: relief, fear, and uncertainty. This was never the life he imagined for his family, and now he has no clear way out. Jimmy didn't win freedom, he inherited a prison. If this ending hit you the way it was meant to, let me know in the comments. Was Jimmy ever truly free, or was this his fate from the start? If you enjoy deep, story-driven breakdowns of the darkest films in Asian cinema, subscribe for more recaps like this, and like the video if you want the next one sooner.